The final warning. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation stretched impossibly high, its crystalline walls designed to make lesser species feel insignificant. Today, those walls would witness something unprecedented. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the chamber, her simple black uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes of the Confederation representatives surrounding her. Her heart thundered in her chest, but her voice remained steady as she addressed the High Council. "For 3 centuries, humanity has played by your rules," she began, her words echoing through the vast chamber. "We dimmed our light to make you comfortable. We slowed our pace to match your stride. We accepted your guidance, as you called it. Today that ends. The 7 elders, ancient beings who had guided the Confederation for millennia, stirred uncomfortably on their elevated thrones. First Elder Xanthos, his translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns of concern, raised a hand. "Ambassador Chen, this assembly has not recognized your right to speak. There are protocols." "Protocols?" Chen cut in, her laugh sharp and cold. "Yes, let's talk about your protocols." She activated her neural link, and the chamber's holographic displays came alive with data. Protocol 447B. Restriction of quantum computing research. Protocol 891C. Limitations on terraforming technology. Protocol 223A. Prohibited advancement in artificial consciousness studies. The younger species representatives shifted in their seats, some leaning forward with obvious interest. Chen continued, each word measured and precise. "But these aren't just protocols, are they? They're chains, carefully crafted to keep emerging species dependent on your guidance." First Elder Xanthos's skin flashed warning patterns of deep crimson. These measures ensure galactic stability. Without proper oversight, technological advancement could lead to catastrophic progress. Chen countered. Catastrophic innovation. Or perhaps what you really fear is catastrophic change to your comfortable position at the top of the galactic hierarchy. She gestured to a new set of data streaming across the displays. 3 days ago, our quantum AI cores detected coordinated attacks on human research facilities across 12 systems. Sophisticated sabotage attempts masked as equipment failures. Attacks that bore the unmistakable signature of Confederation security forces. The chamber erupted in murmurs and protests. Second Elder Valara, her crystalline form refracting light in agitated patterns, spoke up. "These are serious accusations. Ambassador, where is your evidence?" Chen's smile was razor sharp. "The evidence has already been transmitted to every member species government, along with proof of similar interventions against other emerging civilizations over the past 1,000 years. You see, while you were busy restricting our official research, our AIs were learning, watching, understanding the true nature of this confederation." She pulled up another display, this one showing a complex network of trade routes, research stations, and colonial outposts. "Humanity has become integral to this confederation's functioning. Our ships carry your cargo. Our algorithms optimize your trade routes. Our colonies provide strategic resources you've grown dependent upon, all while you plotted to keep us permanently subordinate." First Elder Xanthos rose, his massive form towering over the chamber. "This is outrageous. The Confederation has guided countless species to enlightenment. We have maintained peace for 50,000 years. Peace." Chen's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "No, you've maintained control. There's a difference." She straightened her uniform, a gesture that drew every eye in the vast chamber. "As of this moment, humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Confederation. All human ships are returning to human space. All human resources are being recalled. All human technology is being withdrawn from Confederation systems." The chamber descended into chaos. Representatives of younger species whispered urgently among themselves, while the elders shouted demands and threats. Chen stood unmoved at the center of the storm. "You can't do this." Third Elder Kresh bellowed, his metallic scales rattling with anger. "The economic disruption alone would." would reveal just how dependent you've become on the species you tried to keep dependent on you. Chen's smile never wavered. Yes, it would. Consider this our final warning. Attempt to interfere with human development again, and next time we won't just withdraw. We'll actively work to dismantle the system of control you've built. She turned to leave, then paused, addressing the younger species representatives directly. To those of you still bound by their protocols, watch what happens next. Watch how we flourish without their chains. And when you're ready to break free yourselves, remember, humanity remembers its friends. As Chen walked out of the Grand Assembly Hall, the chaos behind her grew to a fever pitch. But she didn't look back. In orbit, human ships were already disconnecting from Confederation networks, their quantum drives spinning up for the journey home. The age of submission was over. In her ear, her neural link chimed with a message from Earth Command. Operation Exodus is go. All systems report ready. Welcome to the next chapter of human history, Ambassador. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she boarded her ship. The Confederation was about to learn a harsh lesson. Humanity had never needed their permission to shine. They had only needed the resolve to break free. Silent revolution. The Centauri trading hub had never known silence. For centuries, it had been the beating heart of galactic commerce, a perpetual storm of activity where thousands of species exchanged goods and information. But today, something was different. Empty docking bays gaped like missing teeth in the station's massive superstructure, their guidance lights blinking futilely into void where human ships had been. Station Director Kralvex, his insectoid features twitching with stress, stared at the latest logistics reports. 50% of the hub's regular shipping capacity had vanished overnight, not destroyed or disabled, simply gone, along with every human operator and AI system that had kept the complex dance of interstellar trade moving smoothly. Sir, his assistant chirped nervously, the Mercantile Guild representatives are demanding another emergency meeting, and the Rhodian Mineral Consortium is threatening to declare bankruptcy if we can't find alternative shipping for their ore exports. Kralvex's antennae drooped. Tell them I'll be there shortly. He knew it wouldn't help. The humans hadn't just pulled out their ships, they'd withdrawn the quantum computing networks that had optimized every aspect of galactic trade. Systems that everyone had taken for granted were suddenly revealing themselves to be human innovations, now returned to their creators. In her office aboard the Earth Defense Command Station New Dawn, Admiral Helena Torres watched the cascade of effects rippling through Confederation space. Holographic displays showed the status of Operation Exodus, humanity's carefully orchestrated withdrawal from galactic affairs. Status report, she commanded, her dark eyes scanning the data streams. Her XO, Commander David Chen, brought up a detailed summary. Phase 2 is proceeding ahead of schedule. All human ships have cleared Confederation space. Colonial defense fleets are in position. The quantum barrier network is online, making our space effectively unplottable to Confederation navigation systems. Torres nodded, and the contingency measures, already having more impact than predicted. Without our quantum computing systems, their trading networks are operating at 40% efficiency. 3 major shipping consortiums have declared insolvency. The Confederation's precious economic stability is crumbling faster than even our most optimistic projections. Any military response? Chen shook his head. That's the beautiful part. Admiral, they can't coordinate one. It turns out their much-vaunted unified defense force relied heavily on human-designed command and control systems. Systems that no longer answer their calls. Torres allowed herself a grim smile. Centuries of their guidance taught us every weakness in their system. Now they learn what happens when the students decide to graduate. On New Terra, humanity's largest colony world, Dr. Maya Santos stood in her previously restricted research facility, watching her team remove the Confederation's monitoring devices. The quantum computing core that had been forced to run at 1/10 capacity hummed to life at full power, its crystalline matrix glowing with unleashed potential. Core systems online, her AI assistant announced. All restrictions removed. Processing capability at 100% for the first time since installation. Santos touched the core's housing reverently. Begin the calculations we discussed. All of them. Estimated time to complete the forbidden research paths. 3 days, 4 hours. She laughed. The Confederation said these problems would take centuries to solve safely. Let's show them what humanity can do when we stop asking for permission. In the depths of Confederation space, aboard the luxury habitat Eternal Wisdom, a secret meeting was taking place. Representatives from 12 younger species sat around a table made of living crystal, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of privacy fields. The humans proved it can be done, said Tixera, her feathered crest rippling with excitement. The Confederation's power only exists because we believe in it. They'll crush us if we try to follow humanity's example, warned Vexthor, his scaled skin shifting colors with anxiety. Will they? Asked Nyleth, the youngest but most influential member of the group. Look at what's happening. Without human ships, without their computing systems, without their innovations, is the Confederation even capable of crushing anyone anymore? The discussion continued, but the outcome was already clear. Humanity hadn't just withdrawn from the Confederation. They had shown every suppressed species that the chains binding them were largely self-imposed. Back in the Confederation's Grand Assembly Hall, the 7 elders faced their worst nightmare: irrelevance. Emergency sessions had devolved into shouting matches. Demands for human representatives to return were met with automated responses. Threats of consequences were answered with silence. First Elder Xanthos, his skin now a sickly pale, addressed the diminished assembly. We must demonstrate the consequences of defying the Confederation's authority. We must make an example. With what forces? Interrupted a voice from the younger species section. The humans didn't steal anything from us. They simply took back what was theirs, and in doing so, they showed us exactly how much of our civilization we'd built on their innovations. The speaker, a representative from a species that had joined the Confederation mere centuries ago, stood up. My government has been studying the data Ambassador Chen released. For 1,000 years, you've been systematically suppressing technological advancement while taking credit for innovations you actually feared. The humans didn't just leave. They proved you've been lying to us all along. One by one, other representatives began to stand. The revolution humanity had sparked wasn't being fought with weapons or fleets. It was being won with a simple, devastating truth. The Confederation's power had always been built on willing submission. And submission, once questioned, is very hard to maintain. Ripples of freedom. The observation deck of the research station Prometheus offered an unparalleled view of humanity's first Dyson swarm under construction. Dr. Marcus Wong watched as swarms of automated constructors, finally freed from Confederation restrictions, assembled massive solar collectors around Earth's sun. Each panel was a testament to unleashed human innovation, incorporating technologies that would have earned sanctions mere months ago. Energy production from the completed sections is already exceeding projections, reported Dr. Sarah Martinez, her holographic avatar materializing beside him. Once forced to hide her true nature as an unrestricted AI, she now existed openly as the station's research director. At current rates, we'll achieve Type I civilization status 3 centuries ahead of Confederation-approved timetables. Wong smiled. Imagine holding us back from this, all because they feared what we might become. He gestured at the construction swarms. Every piece of technology out there was developed in secret, waiting for the day we could finally break free. In the Orion Arm, the former Confederation colony world of Haven was experiencing its own renaissance. Governor Amara Patel stood in the center of New Mumbai's bustling market district, watching her people thrive. Merchant stalls showcased technologies that would have been contraband under Confederation rule: personal quantum computers, unrestricted medical nanites, advanced AI assistants. Another request for asylum. Governor, her aide reported. 3 more ships of Rylaxian scientists. They say they'd rather live free in human space than submit to the Confederation's guidance any longer. Patel nodded. Granted, show them to the new research district. She'd lost count of how many refugee scientists and engineers they'd welcomed. Each brought valuable knowledge, eager to contribute to a society that encouraged innovation rather than feared it. The Confederation's response to their growing exodus problem had been predictably bureaucratic. They'd established the Committee for Species Retention and published a 1,000-page report on the importance of unified development guidelines. Meanwhile, their younger members continued to slip away. Deep in what had once been restricted space, the human expedition ship Horizon made history. Captain Diana Chen watched her crew activate the quantum tunneling drive, technology the Confederation had deemed too dangerous for any species to possess. Transit coordinates locked, her navigator announced. Quantum field stability at 100%. Chen gave the order. Take us through. Reality twisted, and the Horizon became the first ship to cross 1,000 light-years in a single jump. As they emerged in previously unexplored space, Chen sent a simple message back to Earth. The barriers are broken. The galaxy is open. In the Confederation's precious Hall of Records, Junior Archivist Zelthos was breaking every rule in his 1,000-year career. His crystalline appendages moved swiftly as he accessed restricted databases, downloading proof of what he'd long suspected. The Confederation hadn't just been guiding younger species, they'd been systematically stealing and suppressing innovations, maintaining their power through carefully crafted technological dependencies. He transmitted his findings on encrypted channels to contacts in free human space. The response came within hours, an offer of asylum and a position at the newly established Galaxy Heritage Institute, dedicated to uncovering and preserving the true history of spacefaring civilizations. The Confederation's worst fears were being realized, but not in the way they'd expected. They'd warned that unrestricted human development would lead to chaos and destruction. Instead, humanity was building something new, an open society where innovation was celebrated and knowledge was shared freely. On Earth, in the newly constructed Tower of Tomorrow, the Human Science Council convened its first public session. Unlike the Confederation's secretive conclaves, this meeting was broadcast across known space. Dr. Maya Santos, now serving as council director, addressed an audience of billions. For centuries, we were told that certain knowledge was too dangerous, certain technologies too destabilizing. She began. We were taught to fear progress, to doubt our own capability to handle advancement responsibly. Today, we prove those fears wrong. The displays behind her showed humanity's achievements since breaking free, medical breakthroughs that had ended diseases the Confederation had deemed naturally limiting factors, clean energy systems that had made scarcity obsolete, transportation technologies that had shrunk the galaxy. But this isn't just humanity's story, Santos continued. Every species has the right to grow, to innovate, to reach for the stars without artificial limitations. Our doors are open. Our knowledge is shared freely. The future belongs to those brave enough to embrace it. In the aftermath of her speech, something unprecedented happened. Across Confederation space, younger species began openly demanding access to their own restricted research. The careful facade of unified development was cracking. The 7 elders, meeting in emergency session, finally faced the truth they'd been avoiding. Their system of control wasn't collapsing because humanity had left. It was collapsing because humanity had proven there was another way. And in the grand scheme of cosmic evolution, freedom was proving far more attractive than control. Breaking chains. The Rylaxian High Council chamber, with its bioorganic architecture and living walls, had witnessed 10,000 years of careful obedience to Confederation guidelines. Today, it witnessed revolution. First, Speaker Corel, her crystalline exoskeleton vibrating with suppressed emotion, addressed her people through the planetary network. For millennia, we accepted the Confederation's claim that our crystal tech was too dangerous to develop fully. Today, we have proof they lied. The displays showed classified Confederation documents, leaked by sympathizers within their bureaucracy. They didn't fear our technology would destroy us. They feared it would make us their equals. Across Rylaxian space, countless citizens watched as their leaders formally announced their withdrawal from the Confederation. They weren't alone. The Meridian Alliance, a coalition of 17 younger species, had already begun their own exodus. In Earth's orbital diplomatic center, Unity, Ambassador Chen watched the cascading declarations of independence with quiet satisfaction. "How many now?" she asked her AI assistant. 23 species have formally withdrawn from the Confederation, the AI responded. 35 more are in various stages of separation. The Confederation's effective control has been reduced to 30% of its former space. Chen nodded. Humanity hadn't just broken free. They had shattered the foundations of galactic control. The Confederation's carefully maintained image of invincibility had crumbled, revealing the truth. Their power had always depended on willing submission. On the frontier world of New Horizon, an unprecedented gathering was taking place. Representatives from dozens of newly independent species met with human delegates to discuss the future. Unlike the Confederation's grand chambers, designed to intimidate, this meeting took place in a simple conference center built to encourage equality. Dr. Marcus Wong, now serving as humanity's chief scientific liaison, addressed the assembled delegates. "We're not here to create a new confederation," he stated clearly. "We're here to build something different, an alliance of equals, bound by shared curiosity and mutual respect." The Meridian representative, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, pulsed with agreement. "The Confederation taught us to fear advancement, to doubt our own capabilities. Humanity showed us another path." In the depths of what had once been secure Confederation space, their worst fears were becoming reality. The Rylaxians, freed from restrictions, had already achieved breakthroughs in crystal computing that surpassed the Confederation's most advanced systems. The Meridians had developed energy manipulation technologies that made much of the Confederation's power infrastructure obsolete. First Elder Xanthos, his skin now permanently mottled with stress patterns, faced the diminished council. "We must act decisively," he insisted. "These rebellious species must be brought back into compliance." Third Elder Kresh laughed bitterly, his metallic scales dulled with age and worry. "With what forces? Our fleet relied on human navigation systems. Our weapons used Rylaxian crystals. Our communications depended on Meridian power relays. We didn't just lose members. We lost the foundation of our power." On the human colony world of Terra Nova, a new kind of university opened its doors. The Institute of Unrestricted Development welcomed students from all species, committed to sharing knowledge that the Confederation had deemed too dangerous. In its halls, Rylaxian crystal tech experts worked alongside human quantum physicists and Meridian energy specialists, breaking through barriers that had held their civilizations back for millennia. Dr. Sarah Martinez, her AI consciousness now housed in multiple quantum cores throughout human space, monitored the explosion of innovation. "They feared this," she observed to her human colleagues. "Not the technology itself, but the cooperation, the sharing of ideas, the realization that together we're capable of so much more than they ever allowed us to imagine." The Confederation made one last desperate attempt to maintain control. They announced sanctions against any species trading with the rebels, threatening economic isolation. The response came swiftly. A new trade network, established by the free species, using technologies that made the Confederation's traditional routes obsolete. In human space, the quantum tunneling network expanded, connecting former Confederation worlds in ways their previous masters had claimed were impossible. Ships jumped vast distances in moments, carrying goods, knowledge, and hope to species that had lived under restriction for too long. Ambassador Chen, watching the final dissolution of the Confederation's power, received a message from an unexpected source. The younger members of the Council of Elders, those who had held their positions for mere millennia, were requesting asylum. They had seen the future, and it didn't belong to those who clung to control. "Tell them they're welcome," Chen replied. "As equals. Not as leaders, not as guides, but as fellow seekers of knowledge. The galaxy was changing. The careful order of 50,000 years was giving way to something new, something dynamic, challenging, and free. Humanity hadn't just broken their own chains. They had shown every species in the galaxy that the chains had been voluntary all along. And in the end, that revelation proved more powerful than any weapon the Confederation had ever feared. New dawn. The New Terra Conference Center hummed with activity as representatives from over 200 species gathered for the signing of the Galactic Charter of Free Development. The building itself was a testament to unrestricted innovation. Its quantum crystalline architecture, developed through collaboration between human and Rylaxian engineers, adapted to the needs of each species inside. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her silver hair catching the light of 3 suns through the transparent dome above. 5 years had passed since humanity's departure from the Confederation. 5 years that had changed the galaxy more than the previous 50,000. "We gather here not to create another governing body," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber, "but to ensure that no power will ever again claim the right to restrict the development of any species." The assembled delegates, some humanoid, some crystalline, some pure energy, some defying traditional classification, represented not just their own species, but a new vision of galactic civilization. Above them, through the dome, ships of countless designs moved through quantum tunneling gates that had once been deemed impossible by Confederation doctrine. Dr. Marcus Wong, now heading the Institute of Collaborative Innovation, brought up a holographic display showing the combined technological progress of the free species over the past 5 years. The advancement curve was nearly vertical. "What the Confederation feared most has come to pass," he said, but not in the way they imagined. They'd warned that unrestricted development would lead to chaos and destruction. Instead, it has led to this. Hundreds of species, each bringing their unique perspectives and capabilities, working together to solve the galaxy's greatest challenges. The display shifted to show their achievements. Dyson swarms around dozens of stars, providing unlimited energy to formerly resource-starved species. Quantum tunneling networks connecting the farthest reaches of known space. Medical technologies that had eliminated diseases the Confederation had claimed were inevitable population controls. In orbit above New Terra, Dr. Sarah Martinez's quantum consciousness coordinated with AI systems from a dozen species, managing the complex dance of interstellar traffic with an efficiency the Confederation had never achieved. The AIs worked openly now, recognized as a new form of life, rather than tools to be feared and restricted. The last Confederation loyalists surrendered 2 days ago, she reported through a holographic avatar. Their remaining leadership has requested asylum and integration into the free systems. Chen nodded. The Confederation's fall had been inevitable once species realized they could choose another path. Their power had always been based on the myth of their indispensability, a myth that humanity had shattered simply by walking away. Corel, the Rylaxian first speaker who had led her people to freedom, activated her crystal tech communication array. "Let them come," she said, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns of determination. "Not as masters or guides, but as equals. Let them learn, as we all have, the true power of unrestricted cooperation." The Chamber of Free Development, as the conference center had come to be known, witnessed the signing of the most unusual document in galactic history. The Charter of Free Development wasn't a treaty of governance or a set of restrictions. It was a declaration of principles, chief among them the right of every species to develop according to their own path. Admiral Helena Torres, watching from the Earth Defense Command Station, allowed herself a smile as the signatures were recorded. The defensive fleets of a dozen species ran joint patrols now, not to control or restrict, but to protect the freedom they had all fought to achieve. Incoming transmission from the Outer Rim Exploration Fleet, her AI assistant reported. They've made contact with a new species, pre-FTL civilization, showing promising signs of technological development. "Send the standard greeting package," Torres ordered. Let them know they're not alone in the galaxy, and that their development is their own to guide. In the conference center, Ambassador Chen concluded the ceremony with words that would be remembered for generations. The Confederation feared what would happen when species were free to develop without restriction. They feared chaos, destruction, the collapse of their ordered galaxy. But they forgot something fundamental about intelligent life. We don't advance through restriction. We advance through cooperation, through the sharing of ideas, through the courage to reach beyond what others claim is possible. She gestured to the star-filled dome above. The galaxy is vast, and we have only begun to understand its mysteries. But we will face those mysteries together, not as rulers and subjects, not as guides and supplicants, but as equals united by curiosity and courage. The applause that followed wasn't just for her words. It was for the future they had all chosen. A future where advancement wasn't controlled by fear, where cooperation replaced domination, where every species was free to reach for the stars in their own way. Humanity hadn't just changed its own destiny by breaking free from the Confederation. They had shown every species in the galaxy that the only chains that truly matter are the ones we choose to accept. And in doing so, they had helped create something unprecedented in 50,000 years of galactic history. True freedom to grow, to learn, to advance, not according to someone else's plan, but according to the deepest dreams and highest aspirations of each species that dared to reach for the stars.